Welcome back, Burnout teachers. Today's lesson will be about how I started my own online teaching business while traveling. So the first thing is, what is the business that I started? I'm an educational and community outreach consultant. And I just want to put a disclaimer out there. Like, I don't technically have an LLC. So it's really just kind of like me working as an independent contractor for different schools and organizations. Basically, the majority of my role is connecting different organizations with other community organizations who are doing similar work and trying to create a framework around business that is really based on collaboration as opposed to competition. I saw a huge need of people working in social justice driven businesses, specifically in the educational field, needing a lot of help. And I just want to say that when you create a business where you're really trying to challenge the current structures that are in place, you have not only the normal pressures of trying to start a business and trying to run it and a startup, but you also have on top of it the fact that you're challenging a whole structure that is currently in place. So you have added pressures to you. And I just felt like there was a big need in a lot of people in those spaces needing help. And so because of my experience working in different community organizations and different schools, I've developed a lot of contacts and also a lot of experience in managing teachers and engaging schools in the community so that the education and the teaching can be informed by the community. And so that what is being taught in the classroom is really relevant to the students because it is relevant to their everyday lives and what they're seeing in their own neighborhoods. True grassroots movements are always grounded in people working together and collaborating with each other and building on what has happened before, and different organizations collaborating together to bring more awareness about different issues. And to think that you solely or your business or your organization is going to be the only means by which to achieve any type of change, it no longer becomes about the true purpose of implementing change and creating new structures to be more equitable and fair. It rather becomes about you and your ego. And so to me, I think I got caught up in that too when I was always like, I want to have my own business because I felt like I just wanted to have something that was mine. But it became more about ownership than it did about actually making a positive impact, because this is kind of the capitalist mindset that we're in, and even with an activism that exists. And so we really need to start reframing that and look at business and generating income and creating different spaces as collaboration. And I feel like the community outreach work that I'm doing really helps me and reminds me of that, and reminds me of my original purpose as an educator was grounded in me wanting to make change. I've also loved being an educational consultant and community outreach specialist, specifically because it allows me to be remote. And so I can continue to travel all around the world and kind of expand the connections and the exposure to different cultures and also the social justice challenges that exist in other countries around the world. And so that's very valuable to me. And I know some may ask, like, how are you a community outreach specialist if you are not like in person on the ground engaging with the community? And I'm originally from Washington, D.C., and my family has been involved in the activist community since I was a kid. My family and I have a musical group where we would play at different rallies and educational events. And this was really at a time when it wasn't as popular. So I really value kind of the network that I've created in DC that has been based on people who have really been genuine and dedicated over time to the social justice struggle in DC. And of course, I need to constantly stay engaged and going to events. So whenever I do go home to visit my family, I'll definitely go to different events and re-engage with new groups. But I would just say that we're so lucky to have the online space because it's just so easy to be able to jump on virtual events, to connect with people via email, via social media, and really get involved in the work they're doing. Even from, like, I'm in Morocco right now, even from Morocco, I'm able to do that. And I think that that's so beautiful. But I will say that I do think face-to-face interaction is something that's really important in community outreach, especially to develop that level of trust. And I'm lucky that I have a lot of contacts in DC. So even if somebody refers me virtually over to somebody, they trust that contact because that person had already known me like in person. I tell my clients for us to have once a week meeting that's always at the same time, where they give me all the tasks and all the things that they need me to do for that week, and we discuss them and they give me any details that I need. And then our communication is primarily over email or via WhatsApp or sometimes Slack or other messaging platforms that they prefer for their business. And I'm able to complete the work on my own time, where I record my hours and we have an agreement of what hours are acceptable per week and the hourly rate. And what I really like about that is that gives me the flexibility where I don't feel like I'm bound to the time of others. That's something that's always bothered me in a job, is that I feel like, oh, I have to be ready at this time for them to do this. And yeah, for the meetings once a week, that's fine for me. But I like to be able, especially with the type of work that I'm doing, that it's like a lot of creative work and engagement work. I like to also have the time to reflect on it and kind of reflect on the approach that I want to do and kind of do it in my own time. And so I like that in the beginning of the week, I have an idea of what I need to get done, and then I can schedule when I want to do it throughout the week. And because, like, for instance, here in Morocco, I can work like in the morning time when people in the US aren't even awake yet. So I feel like I'm ahead of time and I can get everything done so that towards the end of my day, I can just chill and relax. So it allows me that flexibility with my schedule. Working as an independent contractor, some people don't like it because there's not the security of having like a job when you're an employee where you get benefits. There's also a positive to it because you're able to kind of create your own schedule and have things on your own terms. And it also allows you the flexibility to be able to make more money in certain months and maybe less in other months. So for some people, that is a little bit scary because you don't necessarily are assured that you can build a stable income over time. And that, so what I do to kind of solve that problem is to always be looking for more clients, even when I feel comfortable with the client base that I have. I rather have that small like uncertainty, which I think is also there as an employee, and be able to kind of really take agency over what I'm doing than to kind of be bound by the rules of some of these more mainstream spaces. And I feel like as somebody who has always been committed to social justice, working for myself, even if I'm in service of other organizations, has always been important because I always ran into the problem of working with people that I wasn't ethically aligned with. I found it very important to be able to kind of have the autonomy over my own work and really put my efforts on what I find to be meaningful to making true change in our communities. No matter where you are in your teaching journey or in your career journey, just know that whatever you're doing, even if you feel like people always say, oh, I'm stagnating, oh, I left this job, I'm going to this job, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what my purpose is. Just know that whatever you're doing, it is helping you. When I was unemployed after I left a teaching job, because I wasn't ethically aligned with it, I was unemployed, and literally my day consisted of applying for jobs at a coffee shop, and then after I would go to a different event, like just community event every day. And that was just because I enjoy going to community events. It could be like a film. I would go to different like films at the embassies in DC. I would also go to rallies. I'd go to lectures. And it was really that time where I felt like I was basically a loser and I wasn't doing anything, where I really developed the basis for the work that I'm doing right now, and that's community outreach, because so many of the people who I met at those events are the people now that I'm still connecting other organizations with. And because they would always see me, and yeah, because I was unemployed and I maybe had more time, I was more involved in that, but that was so meaningful. So just know, wherever you are now, just realize everything you do, whether you're making money from it, whether you're not, it's a positive experience that is going to lead you towards something greater. So don't get down on yourself if you're not where you want to be right now. It just means that you're being led towards something greater.